This video is in response to Jen Wilding's recent radio blog interview on TZM Radio concerning the topic of why isn't TZM doing more to support intentional communities. And that I've got a lot to say about this, so please bear with me, and I hope that you do listen to all of this. And that the times that we live in now are perhaps the most important time ever in mankind's history. You know, we're going to be saying that this decade is the most important decade of mankind's existence. The foundation that he lays down now will be setting the foundation for, the next 1,000 years. We'll be saying that each decade from this point on. This century, we can easily say, is probably the most important century in mankind's existence, and that the powers, the transformations that are going to be taking place, we're setting the foundation for little the next 1,000 years of mankind's existence on this planet and his place in the cosmos. And so much of what we've had questions about will be answered. So much is going to happen and unfold in this 100 years. It's absolutely incredibly important time in mankind's history. Understanding that the management of an issue is such a subjective thing, whether it's our own individual lives, how we manage our own lives. Somebody thinks we should be living our lives differently, that we're not living it correctly. Somebody looking at a local government, looking at a state government, a federal government, and how those resources and issues are managed. These are all very subjective things. And because of that, what it amounts to is conflict. And that is exactly where we're at. And that's what TZM is seeing and feeling right now, is that questioning of management of the resources, the intellect of TZM. And that people feel that TZM should be doing more. I, for one, feel like TZM should be doing more. And that's why I'm making this video, to help explain from a different perspective on why I think TZM should be doing more. And that one of the things I understand why TZM isn't doing more is that it is afraid of money, and therefore is controlled by this fear that money will corrupt TZM to the point of being dysfunctional or becoming all-powerful, or some kind of self-perpetuating system. And that during this transition period, which this thing can transition 1,000 different ways, because it is, as I said, subjective, and the powers that be have their perspective. The average individual has their perspective on how things should manage and move forward, and etc. So there is going to be this conflict. And when I say the powers that be, I'm talking about the ruling class of our world right now. They have their perspective on how this thing should move forward. And the thing about it is they have no problem with killing anybody that essentially gets in their way. And at one point, it required mankind to do that, to convince the general population to get behind an idea to dehumanize another group of people, to exploit and rob them of their resources, etc., or whatever, to control. There's all kinds of various reasons throughout the past, and if you follow Peter Joseph and the false flag events that he's put forth in his videos, we all know that this is all very real, and that this ruling class has no problem with killing as many people as it takes to get what they want and to control what they want. And it's coming to the point now with technology that they will not need as many people to get behind the idea as possible, because drones can do the work and compartmentalize so much more of the dirty work that is being done versus before in the past. So it's really that paradise or oblivion thing that Jacques Fresco spoke of. And because of that, knowing the times that we live in, just as TZM is trying to help people understand the technical reality, because TZM doesn't support as many different avenues as it possibly can, because it has this fear of using money, collecting money. I'm forced to, or I feel compelled to make this video to help them understand that they absolutely have no choice, because of the times that we live in, and the technical reality is a double-edged sword. And it again, just say that this is that paradise or oblivion time. This is the most important time in mankind's history. And you look at the number of views and how I think this video here had like 1,600 views when I last saw it, and how it is impacting it, and how slow this movement is going. And do we really have a lot of time to delay here? Because every day that passes, the middle class gets weaker, resources become more expensive, etc. And yet, that's all this collapse thing that we think is going to help bring about an RBE. But do we really know that to be true? Because a collapse could just equally mean the death of hundreds of millions of people in total tyranny. So TZM should be ready to exploit every little avenue that it can, and that does mean collaborating, gathering resources to make itself as strong as possible, to create intentional communities, create those libraries which promote access versus ownership and property. It should be supporting those type things, and understand that the times that we live in calls for that action, and nothing short of that, nothing short of exploiting every single avenue that is available to us, and that includes using money, collaborating resources to accomplish that. And that's why I'm so upset with TZM, because it does not do that. It acts out of fear, and fear that it cannot use money and not be corrupted by it. And all that is doing is getting people involved into it, educating them, but not creating a real pathway for that to unfold and develop. And in short, it just is counting on a collapse in education, and saying that, hey, when this collapse happens, and you're going to have total anarchy, everybody jump on an RBE bandwagon. And that's insane, and it's totally unnecessary when we could be, as we have been enslaved in increments over periods of time. We can make this system obsolete over a period of time. And that's one of the things that TZM says all the time: make the system obsolete, and be the change you want to be in the world. And it's like saying all that, but not really providing any vehicle to help make that happen. Yet there is activism that is taking place, but it's not something that an individual like me sees as really being productive, and especially on a time-wise line. And that it's just people want to use every single venue that is possible, accessible, to make this system obsolete. And therefore that is where the criticism comes in of TZM, the lack of support of TZM, because there's not really any academic professional out there supporting TZM. Stefan Molyneux, you look at all the time that was invested by Neil. You look at was it Christopher Green was a recent one. None of these individuals, they're both fairly sharp individuals. You can certainly say that as Stefan can endorse TZM. And I cannot say anything. I've spent hundreds of hours trying to help people to understand it, help it move forward. But because of that missing link of there not being a way to donate to make this system obsolete, a structure to make this system really obsolete, I can't go any further, and people don't buy it. They just say it's another pie in the sky. And in the meantime, literally, people are dying every day. And if you look at that, the losses in the Iraq War, roughly 3,000 people a day over a 10-year period, 1 million people. It's insane. And the ruling people, ruling class, have absolutely no problem, no qualm whatsoever about killing innocent people to get whatever it is they want. And they still control all the media. If you look at Google or YouTube search Muslims burning, and you'll see, where was it at? I want to say Bahrain. All these Muslims, there's like 30,000 of them totally killed over a 1 month period, and almost complete media blackout of that event. And this media is still very much controlled by this ruling class. And you can kill 30,000 people in a 1 month period and it not get any mainstream coverage whatsoever. If it is, it's like on a little ticker tape underneath, and like a little drive-by sentence. So this ruling class is still very much in power. So the urgency upon which I stress this, and where this criticism comes from that space right there. And just trying to help TZM understand just how serious and how important of a time that we live in is, and for it to truly reach on out, make that leap of faith, because we're all operating on the faith system here, that it can collect funds in, restructure itself in such a way that it can't, or at least minimize corruption, to make this system obsolete. But my guess is that once you get money coming in, get people in that are really dedicated to this system, the time frame of events unfolding is so short that there will be no time for corruption. And what we're talking about doing is putting into effect a system that will carry the value system, which is why we can't just have, while it makes no sense for me to just go out and support Atlas City or other intentional communities or other RBE projects because they don't have the TZM brand on it. It's so important to have the TZM brand on it because that is the value system, that is the educational system that I want to see spread around. And to just support an intentional community or Atlas City, some of these other projects that are taking place around the world is something that will help to make the system obsolete, but it really needs the TZM brand name. It needs Peter Joseph's support behind it to make this thing really work. And it has just got to take that leap of faith of saying that it is okay for us to take money in and really start making some steps to make the system obsolete, because as it stands right now, it is nothing short of a disappointment, and that it does not really take steps. It's nothing but patchwork in itself via educational system that it is right now. It is nothing but a patchwork system itself, and that's what I will say that it is. And it should not label itself as anything else as a solution, because it is not offering any steps to really make this system obsolete. And if you think education works, it's like, if it works, what does history show us? Why are we in the state that we are in now? Because why do you have priests become pedophiles? Why do you have the hypocrisy and the religious institutions that you have now? Is it because their educational system, that value system, didn't work? Yes. How about that? And it, you say to Peter, Jacques Fresco will say, love religions, just wish they would practice it. I say to you, TZM is a perfect example of that. Love TZM's idea. I just wish they would practice it. And that is where TZM is at. if it was practiced in it in any way, shape, or form, outside of the this ideology that we have to change, that we're on a suicide path, then I would be really fully endorsing it. And other individuals, perhaps like Stefan Molyneux or Christopher Green, who just kind of like just say, hey, it's just another educational group, and that's all I can say it is, and others will say it is, and we just want it to be more. At least I do. And you can say that for this video right here, there's probably at least 100 people, if not 1,000 people, that feel the exact same way, that they want this group to be more, and that they perhaps fully grasp the importance of the times that we are all living in right now, and know that every day that passes, innocent people are dying needlessly. And to not want to really have a group, what really grabbed me to TZM, that this was actually a group that was going to be doing something to make the system obsolete, and it turns out that's not the case. And that if it was the case, I wouldn't be making this video right now. And it is just so disappointing, and that is why I'm making this video, and why other people, hopefully, maybe other people will make the video too, and try to get TZM and the panel, the powers that be of TZM, try to get restructured, and get Peter Joseph on board too, to support the idea of intentional communities as another avenue for TZM to get involved in. The Global Redesign Institute that Peter just spoke about on RT with Abby, you go to that webpage and it's like nothing there. And there's also this conflict between Peter Joseph and Zeitgest movement, and that attachment of the whole 9/11 truth movement. And there's another educational example. It's like for almost 10 years now, well, at least 7 or so years, you can say that the 9/11 truth movement has been out there trying to educate people on that event. And look at the success that it has had. And it has been addressed through so many different areas, whether it was the truth movement or through the Zeitgest movie, and other individuals out there. There's so much content out there to educate people on the 9/11 truth. And then you look at what has happened from that, and essentially nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that is why I get upset with TZM, thinking that this educational content that they're putting out is going to have an impact. It will have as much impact as this 9/11 truth movement. And as a perfect example of that, hundreds of millions of people have seen that. And nothing has evolved from it. TZM, hundreds of millions of people perhaps seen Zeitgest movies, and nothing outside this movement has really happened from that. And then you look at this Global Redesign Institute that Peter's talking about. He's been talking about it for a year, and the webpage, you go to the webpage, there's nothing on there. It's coming soon, and there's a link for that, and there's a link for the Zeitgest movement on that webpage. And so just as Zeitgest movement is trying to disassociate itself from Peter Joseph and the 9/11 truth movement, it ties itself right back into Peter Joseph and the 9/11 truth movement. So, there's just hypocrisy that goes back and forth in the Zeitgest movement about Peter Joseph and all that content, and it's just jacked it up, man. So anyway, the Global Redesign Institute that Peter's talking about, there again, it's just trying to, I think he was talking about trying to show how a city or even LA could be designed in such a way as self-sustaining, and be an RBE city and do all these wonderful things. And it's like, you can show people these pictures all you want. Jock Fresco can show all these cities all he wants. It makes no difference. And that's my argument to TZM and their educational process. This is a fantasy world. Unless there's some kind of real steps to make the system obsolete, to make this a reality, and things of that nature, it's just going nowhere, and we want it to go somewhere. And it is nothing short of pure frustration and disappointment to know that such a beautiful thing and an idea is not moving fast enough, knowing that innocent people are dying every day, and people not being able to actually have something to vote with their dollars, to do their resources with, to invest in, to make this totally corrupt system and world, dysfunctional society, end. And we are all trapped into it. And we are in Rome, and we are all having to follow Rome's rules to a certain extent. And what TZM is saying, you are in Rome, but don't be from Rome. Don't let your mind be from Rome. And that's the value shift change that TZM is trying to reject. And, that works to a certain extent, but you will have people that will kill other people simply because it is us or them. And that has happened all throughout history. And then you look at that Milgram experiment where you have individuals innocently, common individuals will torture another individual, thinking it's for a higher cause and such forth. And, such a high percentage rate of that mentality. And that is mankind educated enough? No. But to say that we are, another thing that TZM says is that we are a product of our environment. So if we do not make steps to make our environment physically better, to create those systems of access versus ownership, to create that sustainable off-grid community, if we are not changing that environment physically, then how do you expect the mental portion to change? Because people will do whatever it takes to survive. People will kill one another and steal, etc. And that's been the case throughout history. So unless we actually are taking steps to make this system obsolete and exploiting every avenue as possible and moving without fear that we cannot interact with the monetary system and be corrupted by it, it will go as far as the 9/11 truth movement, and that's what I'll leave it at. I think that's probably as close as an example I can say, and that nothing took place with the 9/11 truth movement, and nothing will take place with TZM outside of it being just a nice idea, and the collapse will happen. Total tyranny can take place, or 1,000 other scenarios can also happen. And the thing about it is that TZM really needs to be in place to really make the system obsolete, and that means having some control over some of the resources whenever something bad happens. And as it stands right now, the only control anybody has is just whatever they have over their own life and their own resources, and that's about it. Anyway, I think that's about all I can say at this time. I hope that members of TZM see this, take the time to hear a different perspective, and start contacting their TZM chapters, their coordinators, and really say, TZM, we need to restructure. Don't be afraid of putting money into it. Don't let fear determine how this group advances, because that is what is holding it back is fear. At least that's the best I can tell from what I've gotten from speaking to various people, that they're just so afraid of the monetary system and corruption that they just won't go near it. I can understand that, but we've got to be fearless in getting this movement forward, and just understand that this is the most important time in mankind's history. I can't say that enough. So perhaps share it with whoever you like. Take from it whatever you like. It's out there for anybody and everybody to use, and that's my spin on it. And I've talked to my chapter coordinator about all this, and she really has no feedback for me. And I'm here in the San Jose chapter, and that's where it comes from. Trying to make this world a better place, and thinking that and not rightfully so, because TZM is not the activist arm of the Venus Project. It is not an activist arm really of any real means outside educational content put forth by various volunteers, and that is simply not enough. We've got to go to the next level, have to evolve, have to be that emerging system that TZM so often talks about. Has to be a system that can make the system obsolete, and so much more, that TZM says, but just does not do. And please contact, share, whatever. Alright, thank you so much for your time.